Hello, this is Stephanie Ferry, and I'm here to talk to you about mindset and belief as it pertains to athletes and their performance. I'd like to start off the presentation with this quote from Vincent van Gogh. If you hear a voice within you say you cannot paint, then by all means paint, and that voice will be silenced. This quote was found in this week's reading, It's a Mental Thing by Dale and Robbins. And I thought this quote encapsulated the growth mindset and the idea that an athlete can do whatever they put their mind to, and that the belief an athlete has in their ability directly affects their performance. In this presentation, we'll examine why athletes need mental training. We'll also look at the role belief plays in athletic performance. And lastly, we'll identify ways coaches can help their athletes train their mind. It's a widely accepted fact that the attitudes and emotions, especially with athletes, directly affect bodies and performance. In athletes, pre-competitive anxiety is believed to be the most frequently cited psychological issue facing competitive athletics. So when we talk about anxiety, that refers to cognitive concerns, worry, and autonomic responses that accompany a stressful situation, like a competition or a performance that an athlete is preparing for. And when an athlete perceives the demands of a performance or a competition, when they perceive those demands exceed their ability, the athlete can experience negative effects on their performance. Specifically, elevated anxiety can cause a number of issues like impairment to fine motor function. Anxiety can disrupt blood flow patterns, impair decision making abilities, and also cause muscles to become more tense. All of these are negative effects that would happen to an athlete who's preparing for a competition or for an event. Mental skills and mental training can help athletes work to alleviate anxiety and minimize the negative effects of these psychological issues. So, unlike environmental issues that an athlete cannot control, an athlete does have control over these psychological barriers and can train and practice to push through these barriers and develop a growth mindset. And so essentially, an athlete that may be lower in ability than their competitor, but has a stronger mindset, that athlete could essentially win or beat that competitor. Even though they may be physically weaker, they are mentally stronger. Next, I'd like to play this clip from Chris McCormick, or Maka as he's known. Maka is one of endurance sports' most iconic athletes. Globally, he's regarded as the best triathlete of his generation. He holds over 250 international wins in races and has an 89% winning rate. Chris McCormick, Maka, basically his winning mindset enabled him to create and replicate a system of having a growth mindset, which has made him both a successful author and businessman. In this video, I think he sums up what it takes to push through challenge as an athlete mentally.
you, my biggest asset or my biggest strength in racing and training has been my ability to switch off under load. And a lot of people have asked me, what are you thinking about, in that tough point in the race? Like, how do you get through it? What are you doing? And I've tried to think about that over the years, and I came up and I understood that the way I've been able to do it is I create these mental folders in my head, and you do that through the training you're doing week in, week out. You do that through the just living life. You create these folders in your head that are always positive, that you're going to draw upon come race day. You don't ever put anything negative into one of those mental folders. So the perfect example for me is in many of the Ironmans I've done, or Kona, and I get to 10 to 15 kilometres from home. It gets very, very uncomfortable. Anyone who's raced any race Ironmans or half Ironmans, we all know that feeling when your body just wants to stop. You want to walk, and that's the critical point of a race. That's the point that differentiates between you having a sensational day or having a horrible day, that moment. So the thing I always say to myself is you've got to embrace that moment, embrace the suck, and take that in, go, okay, here it is. This is why we're doing the sport. Everyone's going to feel this uncomfortable, quite normal. The world's not going to end. This is going to stop when the race stops. I can either decide to have the pain stop now by walking, or push on and have a great day. If you take the choice or make the option that you want to push on and you're looking for a great day, then you have to initiate certain systems that enable you to run through a routine. It takes your mind off that pain. So for me, I'm talking about these folders all the time. So I start to feel the pain. I reflect on a great training session. I dive in. I remember that run set I did. You always envisage yourself, take yourself to positive sessions or positive moments in training or in life to give you a good feeling. And I always think that a good session or a nice conversation I've had with my daughter, anything that's positive that can take your mind off that moment, this feeling for just that moment, is imperative. If you start reflecting in any way, in a negative way, oh, this hurts, or this is uncomfortable, I should have trained more, any negative thought will magnify. And the same can be said for the positive thoughts. So keep it positive. If you start to think negative, reset your mind pattern, reset your thoughts, look for another folder that's positive in your head. Just keep ticking away, and I guarantee you, once you implement those systems, you'd start concentrating on your breathing, concentrating on your rhythm, concentrating on these positive thoughts. They're like storms. These waves of pain and waves of emotion will come in and they'll disappear, and you'll feel great again. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen again. It just means you need to implement that system again. But it's a pure point of endurance racing, and it's something that I think a lot of people should spend a lot more time focusing on in training. When you're doing those sessions that hurt, take that time to reflect on what's happening, what you're thinking at that time. Because a lot of the time, when you haven't done that in training, you get to that moment, your mind, your thought patterns very, very rushed, very fast. You've got to learn to slow that down, take back control, and you'll find that purity of pain in racing is spectacular. Once you get to control that, it's awesome. There's nothing feels better.
Confidence is defined as the belief an individual has in their capability to be successful. And this is often identified as one of the most important mental skills for an athlete. Like Maka said, athletes who use achievement-based sources of confidence are more likely to benefit from performance increments due to having an elevated state of sports confidence and beliefs. So like Maka said, athletes that are able to draw on positive past experiences, whether that be a previous race that they were successful at, or even just a positive conversation, like Maka mentioned with his daughter. Those experiences can help athletes draw confidence in their ability to persevere and to continue. With belief is also self-efficacy, which is one's ability to believe they can excel at a given task. Self-efficacy beliefs increase the level of challenge people are willing to undertake, and also contributes to the amount of effort they're willing to put into those challenges, and also the level of perseverance in the face of difficulty that they'll have in completing a task. And all of those things result in better performance. And so, in a lot of ways, self efficacy relates to having a growth mindset. So, when an athlete believes that they can achieve a task, they're willing to persevere through it and continue to grow. As coaches, it is our job to help athletes train mentally, so they can build confidence, so they can build self efficacy, and learn to mentally persevere through challenge and believe that they can achieve. First, we want to make sure that athletes have a sense of confidence, and that sense of confidence ultimately needs to come from within themselves. And what that means is athletes can't constantly be looking for confidence boosts from their teammates and from other people. That athlete internally needs to have a sense of belief that they can do their task. Um, Athletes also need to create a focus plan. And with that focus plan, they also need to stick to it and not try to bail out of the focus plan if it doesn't seem like it's going right. And a focus plan might look like an athlete drawing or writing a list of an upcoming event or competition they have and listing all the things that will play out from when they walk through the door to the event to the end. And in that, that athlete also should be identifying potential moments where they might become distracted or doubtful. And then that focus plan needs to be specific to that athlete and to that individual. So it should be created by that athlete, and used to identify certain areas and pitfalls, but also to help that athlete feel confident in their race. So when they actually do show up to that event, they have a plan from start to finish of how they'll be successful. After the event and after the focus plan, it's important for the athlete to reflect and reevaluate their plan, identify any possible areas that didn't go as well, also to reflect on how the competition or how the event went altogether. The athlete then can make adjustments to the focus plan for next time, and use those adjustments to be more successful in performance. Lastly, athletes need to think of their confidence like a tank. And there are times during training and performance that their confidence will get low, their confidence tank will get low. And so both athletes and coaches and teams need to continuously be focusing on filling that confidence tank. And an athlete wants to go into an event or a competition with a full tank. And mental imagery and these focus plans are a great way for an athlete to fill that tank up, to draw on past previous experiences, and to feel as calm and relaxed and confident as they can heading into a competition, which is ultimately our goal as coaches, is to help our athlete enter a competition in the most relaxed, focused state as we can. Thank you for listening to my presentation on mindset and belief. Here are my references. Thank you.